All right, so now that you have Streamlabs downloaded, it might look slightly different. It just kind of depends, because I've configured mine and I've had it like this for a long time, so I'm not exactly sure how it looks when you've just started up Streamlabs. But it'll look something kind of like this, where it'll have a little mini feed, it'll have your scenes, it'll have your sources, it'll have a mixer, and it'll have your actual output here. You can also change this, if your computer's having some issues, you can also turn it into performance mode so you won't see a preview, which I'll probably do just for the sake of no distractions. But once you've done that, what you're going to mainly want to do here is go into the settings wheel. I recorded about 10 minutes worth of how to fix your audio and how to change up your audio and stuff, and I just realized that was not probably the most important thing. The most important thing is to show you guys how to actually set this stuff up, right? So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to go to your stream key. So when you're streaming, the ingest server over at Twitch, mine's Anarchist Mosher, same as my YouTube, it will have, hey, this computer, my computer, is calling to upload something to this website live, right? And then that key is basically the code that Twitch says, okay, yep, this is good to go. This is the channel that it's going to be streaming on. These are the settings that OBS gets. So once again, I've set mine up. So I can't exactly remember, but I will figure it out for you guys. I know that there's a stream key somewhere. Let me find it. Give me a moment. Okay, so I peeked around in the settings a little bit. I couldn't find it. So what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to connect, right? So you have a YouTube account. You connect if you want to stream on YouTube. That's fine. If you want to stream on Twitch, you can do that as well. I can't, obviously, I can't unlink because there's nothing to connect it to. So it'll be something like that. You just log in with your Twitch account. The tutorial on the thing, it'll show you how to get your stream key, all that kind of stuff. So once you've set that up, which once again, I can't do a lot of this stuff because I am already just connected and everything, and I'm not able to download it twice to show you guys twice, unfortunately. So what you're going to want to do is, once again, if your main way that you're trying to output video is streaming, you're going to want to go to streaming. Now, it might be simple, it might be advanced, it just kind of depends. I have mine on advanced, and I would recommend this because this is what Twitch on their website that we looked at kind of recommended. So just audio track, just leave that alone. So if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, I would highly recommend setting your encoder to hardware. If you have maybe an AMD or something of that nature, I would still try to set it to hardware, see how that performs. If it doesn't, and you have a beefy CPU with kind of a low quality GPU, then you could go ahead and set it to software, which is X264, which will stream, but it might look blurry, kind of with high motion scenes and stuff. So if you're playing shooters, it might look a little blurry. It's very CPU bound process, which in turn, you won't have as much CPU to do anything else on your computer. So if you're playing games, I would try to keep it on hardware as much as possible. And I always check this mark. You don't have to, but I've noticed that I've just gotten kind of a better stability when I have the streaming service encoder settings ticked on. So I'd go ahead and, I would recommend doing that, which basically Twitch is like, no, you can't stream to anything higher because we got it. We got this, Jack. So there you go. Turn your rate control onto CBR. Turn your bitrate to 4500 if you will be streaming at 720p 60 FPS. And once again, if you're going to be doing 1080p at 60 FPS, if your internet can handle that, go for 6000. Once you've got that, you're going to want to set your keyframe interval to 0. Just let it be auto, let it do its own thing. And then you're going to want to set your profile to high. You're going to want to turn on look ahead, turn on psycho visual tuning, set your GPU to 0, which is just auto, and set your max B frames to 2. All right, so once you've got that good, then what you're going to want to do is head over to video. And so once again, my monitor that I am outputting and I play games on and everything is a 1080p monitor. I have it set to 1080p just so I can record in 1080p, but if you're going to be streaming at 720p 60 FPS, you're going to want to set this output or scaled resolution to 720p, which is 1080 by 720. So just hit the little drop down arrow. I can't do it because I'm currently recording, but you hit that drop down arrow, set it to 1080 by 720. Good to go. Set your downscale filter to bicubic. There's 3 of them. There's Landscoast, bicubic, and something else on the bottom tier. Just set it to the middle one. That's the one that I've had the best luck with personally. Your mileage may differ. It might be slightly better if you do the Lanzakos or something like that, or the bottom tier one. Just kind of depends. So just play around with it a little bit, do some test recordings, and set the FPS type to common FPS values and your common FPS values to 60. If you will be streaming at 720 60, 1080 60, if you're going to be streaming at 1080 30, set that to 30. Obviously, if you're going to be streaming at 720 30, set that to 30. It just kind of depends on, once again, your own settings will differ. I stream at 720. I only have it on 1080 because I'm recording, and I want it to be as high quality for you guys as possible. So once you're done with that, then you can go to advanced and just make sure that your settings look pretty much the same as this. These should be the defaults. I have not messed with much of the video stuff. I just would leave it on NV12. I don't know why you would change it. I don't know why you would change your color space, and I don't know why you would change your color range. I guess maybe if you have a HDR monitor or something like that, if you have a much better PC than I do, you could try that and try that full, but it just kind of depends. And then you're going to want to force your GPU as a render device if possible. If you have maybe a lower tier GPU and it needs it for the games, maybe just leave that unticked, and it'll probably force that anyways, but just, kind of, once again, your mileage may differ. You could enable a stream delay. I don't have that. I just want it as a low latency as possible for maximum interaction with my viewers. I would also recommend that you turn this on. So if your internet does crash, which mine has several times, during stream, you're going to want to tick enable on, and you're going to want to do, your retry delay. Just leave it at second, 10 and 20. I don't exactly know what this means. However, I will say this. These two have been a lifesaver for me, and I'll tell you why. So my internet is pretty good at home, but I was having a lot of issues with dropped frames when I was streaming. And so it just looked very choppy. Everything was bouncing around, and I was like, what the hell? And I did a lot of research. I figured it out. I tried all kinds of different settings in here. I changed, all that I just talked about. Basically, I just set it back to default and just started from the bottom. All it was this new networking code and low latency mode. So new networking code is just the way that it sends the packets across the internet. It's just a different type. I don't exactly know, but just trust me, I would check that on if possible. If you have this setting, check it on, trust me. Low latency mode, all that does is it reserves a little bit of the bandwidth for streaming, and it just kind of puts it back in your game. So if you're having issues with high latency in games, but your stream looks great, you probably won't be playing super well. So I would turn on low latency mode, which will keep your ping down in games, especially for, shooters, which is primarily what I play, or like Rocket League or something like that, where ping kind of matters. You don't want to be bouncing all over the map, right? You want to have low latency mode turned on, which it'll give a little bit to your game and a little bit to your streaming. You can do that if you want. I think that's on by default. It doesn't really matter. And I don't exactly know what that does. I would just leave that alone. So once you have that done, once again, you can have some scene collections. If you already have an OBS scene and you're just learning how to use Streamlabs OBS now, then you can import or export some overlay files. Or if you're like, now Streamlabs sucks, I want to go to OBS, you can export your overlay file. Once again, just kind of depends. Does say use at your own risk, right? So good to go with that. Remote control. So the remote control is what I use. So I have a phone, my cell phone that I use, and what you can do is you can get the app Streamlabs OBS, and you click that, and it'll let you control the stream if it's on the same Wi-Fi. So this is kind of it's a free Stream Deck. So if you do have a phone, maybe you have a second phone that's just like lying around, they're like $20 at Walmart. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than a Stream Deck. I am a believer in this remote. It's kind of finicky sometimes, but it's awesome. Be able to mute my camera real quick, mute my mic real quick without having to, lose focus in the game. I just reach over with my left hand and just like tap, and it's good. So I would highly recommend that if you have the ability to do that. I'm not going to click this code, obviously. Then you can have virtual webcam if you don't have a webcam, but you'd like to have a webcam, and if you have another phone lying around, you could use that as well. There's a third-party app, I think, that you set up with it or something or other. I've never had to use it, but I know people who do, and they say that it works awesome because a lot of, iPhone cameras and even Android cameras are a lot better. They can go up to 4K, They go up to 1080 60, no problems. So if you do stream at 1080 60, that might be a decent option for you if you don't have a camera that'll do 1080 60, because they are quite expensive. Or if you just want to use your phone and sacrifice the remote, then just use your phone for your webcam. It just kind of depends on, you know, you as a person. So this should be good to go. So this is pretty much it as far as settings go. I will go into sources on the next video and adding sources. I'm trying to keep these pretty short. I'm trying to keep these around 10 minutes. But anyways, I will see you guys on the next video. And in that video, we will show you how to do sources and all that kind of good stuff. So until next time, I will see you guys. Please stay tuned. I hope you guys are enjoying these. Please let me know in the comment section below. Peace.